This story begins in 1982, inside a famous pizzeria filled with children and families celebrating. The place is packed with lights, cheerful music, and animatronics welcoming the show. But among all that joy, there's a girl who stands out because of her lonely attitude. Her name is Charlotte, and she's sitting in front of a small trapdoor on the floor, patiently waiting for something to come out of there. Her friend Vanessa approaches to offer her a drink and invites her to go with the other kids to eat cake. But Charlotte refuses because she feels that no one wants her at that table and that the other children don't accept her. For her, the only one who's always there is the creature that lives beneath that trap door. And Vanessa warns her that it's not some guardian angel or anything like that. That thing will still be there even if she goes to have fun for a while. Suddenly, Charlotte notices something strange. A man dressed in a yellow rabbit costume is taking a small child toward the back of the establishment. Alarmed, she runs to ask the nearby adults for help, but no one pays attention to her, and everyone tells her to go find her parents. Desperate because no one will listen, Charlotte decides to take matters into her own hands and goes herself to rescue the little one. Vanessa tries to stop her and begs her not to do it, but Charlotte doesn't listen and ventures into the dark hallways of the pizzeria. The girl finds the costumed man in the kitchen, whistling while washing his hands, and very carefully crawls along the floor until she reaches where the unconscious little boy is. Charlotte picks him up in her arms, and although the child is very heavy for her, she does her best to carry him toward the exit. The man realizes what's happening and begins to chase her with a knife in his hand, but Charlotte manages to reach the main area where all the families are. There she furiously shouts at the adults, calling them out for not listening when she asked for help. And then the child she was carrying wakes up and gets down from her arms. Charlotte falls to the floor, revealing that she has several wounds on her back because the man with the knife managed to stab her while she was fleeing. The trap door in the floor opens and Charlotte's body falls down. But then we see a strange animatronic figure called the Marionette emerge, holding the girl's lifeless body in its arms. News about what happened quickly spreads, and we see newspaper headlines talking about an investigation at the pizzeria, about a girl who died in an accident, and about suspicions of sabotage. However, the company denies all responsibility and offers condolences, arguing that the girl broke safety rules by entering a restricted area. Finally, the pizzeria is exonerated and decides to close its doors permanently, leaving many children sad about having to say goodbye to their beloved animatronics, especially the Marionette. 20 years later, we see Vanessa waking up to the sound of her phone. On the other end of the line is Mike, who asks her if she's still having nightmares, and she confirms that she is and that she can't rest well. Mike asks if she's still up for going to dinner together that night, and she accepts because it would do her good to get out a bit. After hanging up, his younger sister Abby appears and asks him if he and Vanessa have kissed yet, but Mike clarifies that they're just friends and that it's not a date. Abby insists on knowing why she can't go with them, but Mike simply tells her she can't. At that moment, Jeremiah arrives, a friend of Mike's who's coming to help him finish painting the house. Jeremiah warmly greets Abby and jokes about how much she's grown, while Mike confirms that yes, he'll have that dinner with Vanessa tonight. Jeremiah wishes him all the happiness in the world, but warns him that Vanessa seems like a pretty weird person to him, though Mike asks him not to talk about her that way. They change the subject, and Jeremiah mentions that ever since Mike's aunt went around telling stories about killer teddy bears, everyone in town lost their minds and are obsessed with the old pizzeria. It turns out the aunt was institutionalized after telling what supposedly happened with some animatronics. And now there's a pizzeria fan festival that same weekend. Mike asks his friend to keep Abby's connection to the whole thing a secret because the girl has already been through a lot and doesn't like that kind of attention. Meanwhile, Abby is on the school bus telling her classmates all about what happened to her at the pizzeria. She tells them how an animatronic named Chica tried to stuff her into a suit, but her brother Mike arrived just in time and shot her with a taser in the face. She also tells them how Foxy came off the stage to chase her and how Vanessa saved her. But then the yellow rabbit appeared and attacked them all, managing to stab Vanessa, although she's fine now. A boy asked her what happened to the yellow rabbit, and Abby explains that the springs inside the suit triggered and crushed him alive, and that they say his body is still hidden in a secret room that no one has found. Some classmates don't believe her at all, but one girl asks if she wants to sit with her later, and Abby accepts. A boy who does believe everything asks her if she ever plans to go back to the pizzeria, and Abby tells him she would, but her animatronic friends are broken and that her brother has been promising for a long time that he's going to fix them, but never does. The boy tells her that if she believes in UFOs and ghosts, then she should also believe in haunted animatronics. In robotics class, the teacher reminds everyone that the project presentation for the science fair is this Saturday and that it's very important they finish their work. The teacher complains that some students have been distracted by the stupidity of the pizzeria festival and assures them that it's a mockery of true robotics, that here at school they're making real robots. When he sees Abby's project, the teacher approaches and tells her that robotics isn't for everyone and that there's nothing wrong with knowing when to quit for the good of the team, making her feel really bad. Her partner tells her that the teacher is mean to everyone and not to take it personally, and then asks her why she herself hasn't tried to fix her animatronic friends. When Abby gets home, she finds Mike getting ready to go out to dinner with Vanessa and helps him adjust his tie. Mike leaves money on the table so she can order a pizza and asks her if she remembers how to call to order, but Abby reminds him that she's 11 years old and not a baby anymore. Before Mike leaves, Abby asks if she can go visit her animatronic friends, but he tells her she can't because they're broken and promises her that someday he'll go fix them. Meanwhile, he suggests she should try to make friends with real kids, but Abby responds that to her, the animatronics are real kids. Mike tries to explain that it's complicated and they can talk about it later, tells her he loves her and warns her not to watch that ghost hunter show because it'll give her nightmares. At the restaurant, Mike waits for Vanessa, and when she arrives, they both comment on how good it feels to be normal people for a moment, considering everything they've been through. Vanessa tells him she's been taking spinning classes and has even made some new friends there. Mike tells her she looks pretty and she returns the compliment. And when Mike accidentally says it's a nice date, he tries to cover by saying he meant the nice view from the table. Vanessa notices that Abby tied his tie and asks how the girl is doing. Mike tells her that some days are good and others not so much, because Abby really misses her animatronic friends, and he doesn't know how to approach that topic. Vanessa tells him that by lying to her about fixing them, he's only giving her false hope, and that he should be honest with her. Mike asks Vanessa if she wants to tell him about her nightmares, but she dodges the topic, saying they don't need to talk about that. He mentions that he knows the nightmares have to do with her father. He tells her how he used his own dreams to confront what happened with his missing brother Garrett. Although he admits he maybe slept too much, it really helped him, and he thinks it could help her too. Vanessa isn't sure it's a good idea, but Mike insists that she'll never be free from her father until she cleans up the mess he left in her head, and asks her to try it just once because he just wants them both to be able to get past all this together. When Mike returns home, he discovers that Abby isn't there, and finds a note where she tells him she went to fix her friends. Mike runs out to the pizzeria, and when he arrives, he finds Abby sitting on the floor, sad, looking at the empty stage where the animatronics once stood. She asks him where her friends are, and Mike apologizes for not telling her the truth before, explaining that there are some parts of them in that place and others elsewhere. But Abby clarifies that she's not talking about the parts, but about her real friends, and Mike tells her he doesn't know, but maybe they're already in heaven, and asks if she'd like that for them. Abby says yes, and Mike tells her they'll always be in her heart, but she tells him not to be so corny. To cheer her up, Mike tells her he has 1 million tickets and takes her to pick a prize. He offers her some orange gummies, but Abby rejects them because she once ate a whole bag at Christmas and threw them all up. Among the available items, Abby finds a device called a Faz Talker that allows you to talk to the animatronics, and that's what she chooses to take. As he closes the pizzeria door, Mike finds a sign with a message saying they kill people at that pizzeria, and if he wants to know more, to call a phone number. Meanwhile, a group of ghost hunters arrives at another abandoned pizzeria, the original one that existed before the branch location. A girl named Lisa tells her friends that a security guard named Mike gave them permission to film there. When they arrive, the guard receives them but clarifies that his name is Michael, not Mike. Lisa explains that this is the original pizzeria location and that no one has been there in decades, and tells them that a girl was murdered at that place and they decided to cover up the news. So now her soul wanders those forgotten hallways, tortured and alone. Michael gives them a tour of the place and shows them they had a boat ride and other unique things, including a special animatronic called the Marionette, Lisa demonstrates that she researched the place, and Michael confirms that the marionette was truly unique because it came out of a platform on the stage and directed the other animatronics during the show using a wireless signal, a very advanced technology for its time that was never replicated again. He shows them the animatronics Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, and when they ask about Foxy, Michael explains that he was involved in a failed attraction where kids would take him apart and put him back together, and that he was never the same again because kids are ruthless. Lisa hears the sound of a music box that no one else seems to notice. Michael warns her that this place will take advantage of her imagination if she lets it, but she decides to separate from the group to investigate where the music is coming from. One of her companions, named Rob, also separates and reaches a kind of bridge over a small lake where the lights begin to fail, and he gets so scared that he ends up falling into the water. While he's submerged, he sees several marionette masks under the surface, and something pulls him down, turning the water red. Lisa follows the sound of the music until she finds a room with a giant gift box and a small music box on the floor. Suddenly, the giant gift opens by itself, and the marionette comes out from inside, trapping her. Her companion Alex hears Lisa's screams and asks Michael what he did, but the guard only smiles in a disturbing way. Alex tries to go rescue his friend, but another animatronic grabs him by the neck and takes him away. Michael goes to where the gift box is and sees Lisa contorting strangely, completely possessed, even walking on all fours. Michael runs out of the pizzeria, and once outside, he smiles and says he welcomes Charlotte home. The next morning, Abby takes the Faz talker and tries to communicate with Chica, telling her how much she misses them and that she needs them, but no one answers. Meanwhile, Vanessa attends her spinning class, and everything seems fine until she starts having hallucinations about her father. The instructor gives her directions to pedal faster, but the visions become more intense, and Vanessa ends up scared when someone touches her and tells her to calm down. Back at her house, Vanessa takes out several objects and places them on a shelf, turns on the TV to a static channel, and lies down on the bed. When she falls asleep, she enters a kind of dream world where everything looks different. She walks through her house until she finds her father at the end of a hallway and tells him she's not afraid of him, that she doesn't need him in her life, and that she's not like him. But at that moment, all the doors burst open and her father begins to chase her. He tells her he's not done with her and that she can't hold him back, while assuring her that she's his favorite, that he loves her and cares about her. Vanessa runs desperately while her father repeats that she's his daughter and has a purpose. Suddenly, Vanessa transforms into a small version of herself, the little girl she was when it all began, and hides behind some furniture. There she discovers a terrifying animatronic called Circus Baby staring at her. Vanessa runs out of the room and her father chases her, telling her she can never escape and will always be his. But she recovers her adult form, pulls out her gun, and shoots him several times until she makes him fall from the second floor. As he falls, he repeats that she'll always be only his, and then Vanessa wakes up from her nightmare. That same night, Abby's Faz talker activates by itself, and a voice asks for help, telling her to come find them and that they'll show her the way. Abby asks if it's Chica, and the voice confirms that it is, so the girl takes her things and takes advantage of Mike being asleep to escape from home on her bike. Following the device's directions, Abby arrives at the original pizzeria where the ghost hunters were. There she calls her friends, and suddenly Chica appears, but with a different body and colder to the touch. Chica welcomes her, saying she came back to them, and Abby runs to hug her, telling her how much she missed her. The next morning, Vanessa arrives at Mike's house looking for him, but only finds Abby hiding behind a door, who scares her and reminds her that the first rule of hide and seek is to always check behind doors. Abby excitedly shows her her finished robotics project and tells her that Chica helped her make it, and that Freddy also tried but couldn't because his fingers are too fat. Vanessa doesn't understand anything and asks what she means, and Abby explains that last night she went to her friend's first home, an incredible place that has a play area and even a river. Just then, Mike arrives with breakfast and Vanessa tells him they need to talk in private. Vanessa shows Mike the flyer she found with the message about the pizzeria and tells him she called the number, discovering that the father of a girl named Charlotte was the one who placed it. She also tells him what Abby told her about having seen the animatronics, but Mike doesn't pay attention because he thinks his sister is just imagining things with the voice toy. Vanessa insists that's not what's happening, But Mike tells her he's trying to move on with his life and she should do the same. Then he mentions he's trying to fix her too, which makes Vanessa upset and tells him she doesn't need him to take care of her, that he should just focus on taking care of Abby. Mike takes his sister to the science fair, but asks her to set up her project without him because he has to do something first and promises to return on time. Meanwhile, Vanessa goes to the original pizzeria looking for answers and finds the place where Charlotte's gift box was. She speaks out loud, telling her she knows she wants to get out of there to hurt other people and that she won't allow it. Charlotte responds through the speakers, telling her she's out of her box, but still has her trapped in that place. Vanessa explains that it's a perimeter lock that prevents the animatronics from leaving, but Charlotte tells her that's not a problem because she just got a new friend who will help her, referring to Abby. At the science fair, the teacher tells Abby there's no room for her because he thought she wasn't going to participate, but she insists she does want to present her project. The teacher takes her robot with the excuse of helping her find a place, but purposely drops it and breaks it, telling her he's very sorry and very clumsy. He offers to give her an A in the class so she can go home and throw her project in the trash. Devastated, Abby runs to the pizzeria to tell Chica what happened, and the animatronic offers to be the science project herself. But first, she asks her to help put in a secret code that will allow them to leave the building. Meanwhile, the Marionette has Vanessa trapped and threatens to kill Abby if she doesn't give her the perimeter lock code. Vanessa tries to resist, but Charlotte is serious, so she has no choice but to give her the code letter by letter. Abby enters it into the computer in the security office, and the perimeter is unlocked, freeing all the animatronics. Chica, Freddy, and Bonnie thank Abby for freeing them and tell her it's time to go to the science fair. Since Abby only has her bike, they have to call a taxi, and when the driver sees Chica getting into the car, he almost has a heart attack. Mike visits Charlotte's father looking for answers. The man tells him that for a long time he believed his daughter had died in an accident, but years later he found out she was actually murdered by a man named Bill, Vanessa's father. He also tells him that 5 more children disappeared afterward. Mike sees a photo of the river ride at the pizzeria and recognizes the same drawing that Abby made that morning, so he calls the school to ask about his sister, but they tell him there was an incident and she's no longer there. Before running off, Charlotte's father hands him a music box he had made for his daughter when she was a baby because the music helped her sleep, and asks him if he sees her to give it to her. Chica arrives with Abby at the fair and everyone is impressed, but the teacher sees them and scolds Abby in front of everyone, accusing her of having disguised a person as an animatronic. Chica decides to go talk to him and tells Abby she just wants to see what's inside his head. The teacher walks through the hallways when Chica finds him, and although he offers to give Abby an A and even give her the exam answers, the animatronic isn't interested in that. Chica takes his head with both hands, begins to crush it, and after killing him, says that just as she suspected, there was nothing inside. Mike arrives at the pizzeria and finds Vanessa tied up, who tells him that Abby left with one of the animatronics, but that Charlotte is behind everything. They go to the security office and Vanessa explains that the Marionette controls the animatronics remotely and needs Abby's body to be able to move freely. Mike locates the animatronics using a tracker while Vanessa goes out to look for them. In the office, Mike faces several animatronics using a mask to trick them and manages to deactivate the signal controlling them, but discovers that one is still moving and is at his own house. Chica left Abby in her bed and the Marionette emerges from her chest, possessing the girl. Vanessa arrives at the house, but her car breaks down, so Jeremiah gives her a ride. There she finds Abby possessed by Charlotte, who attacks her. Mike arrives just in time with the music box, and the sound makes Charlotte release Abby. But then Michael appears, the guard from the other pizzeria, who turns out to be Vanessa's brother and another son of William Afton. Michael tells them he's there to continue his father's legacy and asks Vanessa to come home with him, but she refuses, saying she's already home. Michael orders the animatronics to destroy them, but at that moment the original animatronics that Mike had called, asking them to protect Abby, arrive. Both groups fight and the originals defeat the new ones, though they then begin to fail because they weren't made to be outside the pizzeria. Before shutting down, the animatronics say goodbye to Abby, telling her they hope to see her in heaven but not too soon, and warn Mike that when they're gone, they won't be able to stop him anymore, and something will come out and be stronger than before. Jeremiah knocks out Michael with one punch while Mike asks Vanessa to get away from them because he can't trust her anymore after so many secrets. Vanessa is left alone, and at that moment Charlotte possesses her, In the final scene, a group of young people arrives at the abandoned pizzeria with the intention of turning it into a haunted house, and among the things they find is one of the animatronics covered with a tarp.